All right, call the Village of Lake Park, October 14th, 2025, public hearing to order. Councilman Mark Richards will lead us in the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts as we gather to serve our community. Thank you for the blessings of this village and the responsibility entrusted to us as leaders. Grant us wisdom, patience, and discernment as we make decisions that impact the lives of our residents. May our discussions be guided by integrity, respect, and a shared commitment to the well-being of all. We lift up our first responders, our police officers, firefighters, EMTs, and all those who serve us in times of crisis. Protect them as they protect us, strengthen them as they serve, and grant them peace in their hearts. We also pray for our state and national leaders. May they lead with wisdom, justice, and a heart for the people they serve. Guide them to make decisions that promote peace, prosperity, and unity across our nation. Lord, we ask that your hand of protection over our military men and women, those serving at home and abroad. Bless them with courage, keep them safe from harm, and provide comfort to their families as they sacrifice for our freedoms. May your presence be with us tonight, guiding our words and actions, that we may serve with humility, fairness, and a spirit of community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Right, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have two public hearings tonight. The first public hearing will be on the proposed nuisance ordinance. Joe Scaldera, who is the chairman of the ordinance review committee, will go through that ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. As Jeremy just said, I'm Joe Scaldera. I'm the chairman of the ordinance review committee, along with Jim Records, also wanted Steve Tudor, who's not here today. We have two other members that are not on council, Sarah Orr and John Corzine. We've been working for quite some time on making a nuisance ordinance. We've worked very hard to try to make something that's thorough but fair for everybody to make sure we protect our village the best we possibly can. So I'm just going to go over some of the terms and some of the rules here with just a brief overview. We do we have copies of them out of the nuisance ordinance, or just
for council?
Okay. If anybody would like, we could get you a copy to look over, but it has been posted on the web page and out for quite some time. So we'll start off with purpose and key terms. It declares a nuisance condition unlawful, protect health, safety, and property values, nuisance, the unsafe, unsightly, harmful property conditions. We do have a term for chronic violators. That is one who has 3+ violations in a year. That's stricter enforcement, which allows us for easier enforcement next year when you've been identified as a chronic violator. We're going to cover abandoned and junked and nuisance vehicles. That's a big part of it here. We also have some other common public nuisances that we're going to be handling. Weeds over 18 inches tall, accumulated trash or furniture outdoors, hazardous or combustible materials, burned or dilapidated buildings, standing water, pet waste, pet infestation, junked and unsafe vehicles. The way we're going to enforce in violations with this is you will receive a 10-day written notice to remedy the violation. Okay, we're not talking about, we're just sending you a violation, it's going to be a fine. You're going to have a chance for 10 days. You're going to be notified. You have 10 days to fix this. Chronic violators will only be given one notice per year. After that notice, then it is immediate that we may, if we deem something is dangerous and needs to be immediately taken care of, we will remedy the situation ourselves. And then that will become an abatement issue, meaning that the village will pay for it to be done, but we're going to send you a bill for it, and then it will be levied against your house as a lien. It'll be collected just in the same way that ad valorem taxes are collected. Each violation day can be a separate violation, so it's a separate offense. So you could, if you ignore the notice that you're given, and 10 days goes by, day 11 can be another one, day 12 can be another one, then you're a chronic violator, and then everything changes. And it's a lot stiffer or a lot stricter violation. and will be enforced separately. We have some vehicle-specific rules. Vehicles are a lot of this. Junked equals an inoperative, unregistered, low-value vehicle. Now, the law does give us low value of a vehicle. However, it's what's in the statute. That's not something that we're really going after. It's not up to us to say the value of a vehicle, but it is just something that's in the statutory term, so it is listed on there. We are going to permit one junk vehicle permitted on your property as long as it's fully concealed and for 60 days or less. Idea behind that is if you have a car that's a project car or something you're working on, if you fully cover it with a nice covered, and I say nice, but a good condition cover that fully conceals the vehicle, you can have it on your property for up to 60 days till you have the chance to move it into your garage or do whatever you're doing with said vehicle. If we do have a problem with it, the village does have the right to tow the vehicle after notice is given, and we will go through a full process before that's done. We just won't show up at the tow truck and tow your car away. There'll be a full process, and there is several remedies that the car owner can have to retrieve their vehicle on that. As we said here in the next one, the owner is entitled to appeal and reclaim their car. So that's not just, okay, your car's towed and it's gone. We don't just seize the vehicle. Okay, here's our legal details and protections within it. Unpaid abatement costs become property liens, like we talked about earlier. The village and its agents are protected from civil and criminal liability. So if we go on to property to enforce this, we are protected under this ordinance from any criminal or civil liability there. Exemptions for enclosed buildings. If you have a enclosed garage, if you have a two-car garage and you have two cars that are fully dismantled inside that, if it's fully enclosed, then nothing we can do about that. Nothing we want to do about that. But as long as it's fully enclosed, there's nothing we can do about that or any of the other vines inside. The ordinance does not limit the use of other legal remedies. There's other safety and other ways that abatement can be used to remedy other issues that may not be listed in our particular ordinance, but we are not limited to using just that. And that's basically it. We're open up for public comment.
I've got three gentlemen signed up to speak, and we didn't delineate which public hearing was which.
This one is just regular council.
Okay. That's what it is. All right, public hearing, Sean Lowe.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm here to talk totally about the nuisance policy, which looks good. But Councilman Richardson and I had a conversation the other day of an idea that germinated in my mind probably about 6 months ago. And it has to do with the value of homes in the village of Lake Park in reference to the outside of a home and how it's being taken care of. And I recognize that there are state laws and federal laws that say what you can do and what you can't do as a city council or a village or a city to somebody's outside of their home. This deals with mold. And the thought that came to mind was there are a lot of homes here in the village of Lake Park that are not being properly taken care of on the outside of the other houses, primarily the mold issue that's out there. And it actually causes a health issue. And the thought process was to be able to go to the community and bring this health issue up to the community of how dangerous mold is, especially if it gets into your house. And what does that mean to your family, your children, especially somebody who has a autoimmune disease? It can be very, very detrimental, including up to and leading to death. So the thought process here was initially to work with the Union County Health Department to get validation that yes, they agree that this is a major health issue. The second issue is to get people, if they understand it's a health issue, to take care of the outside of their home. Now, recognizing that we have a lot of rental homes now in the village of Lake Park, sometimes that's very difficult to get the owner of the house to do something. But I think the burden of action, if you will, is on the people who are actually living in the home and let them decide whether they want to do it or not. Bottom line is, if we clean up the outside of these homes, it increases the value of the homes. And realtors will tell you, Mark, I'm sure you'll agree with this, that if you're living next to a house where the mold is very visible on the outside, it's probably reducing the value of your home by $10,000 to $20,000, if not more, because it's not being taken care of. The third thought around this, besides having a flyer going out to every home or every homeowner, if you will, to address this, is what's the solution to it? Besides saying you're supposed to do it, is for the Village of Lake Park to go into agreement with a vendor to provide that service, to provide the cleaning of the outside of the homes at a reduced price, because they're getting the number of homes that it makes it worth their while to come into one neighborhood to do it. So I'm glad to see in the nuisance, I have not read it, to be honest with you, but health is a big issue. And frankly, this is a big issue of mold on the outside of the houses. It can get in through the ventilation systems, it can just get in through windows, it can get in through cracks in the siding. It can be very, very serious from a health standpoint, especially if somebody has asthma, or as I said, if somebody has a disabling autoimmune disease. And unless you have an outside firm come in and determine whether you have mold spores in the house, these people don't know. So I think it's enough of an issue to alert people that you could potentially be living in an unsafe environment. You really need to do something about it. So that's the thought. I just bring it to you to not necessarily do it with this nuisance ordinance, but to think about doing it down the line. So
It does have in the nuisance ordinance, anything that is deemed unsafe by the Union County Department of Health is something that we can abate.
well,
So,
the idea is
like you were just saying, the key you said there, so that is kind of listed in what you were saying.
yeah, well, that's great. So the idea is there for you to pursue. I would pursue it more myself, but I think it's more village to county to validate what's going on. So anyway, thank you, gentlemen.
Anyone else want to speak to the nuisance ordinance? All right. Council comments on the nuisance ordinance? Jen?
No, I think we did a great job of putting that together. Derek did a decent presentation.
Mark?
I agree. Great job putting that together. Hopefully that addresses a lot of the issues that we do have in Lake Park.
A lot of hard work, one heck of a job you did.
Well, I just got to thank everybody else that helped us with it too. All the non-council members, John Corzine, which everybody knows has some health issues lately, and Sarah Orr. We all did a real good job working on this. It took a lot of time. There was a lot of work put into this, a lot of changes over I'd say this took over a year, but really several years in the working and the making of actually doing this.
Yeah, but you were the leader of the gang and kept it moving down the road.
And I too would just like to say I appreciate the work that the committee did. We send our thanks. We will discuss this further in the regular meetings. Is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Motion to adjourn.
Jim made a motion, Bruce seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Call the Village of Lake Park public hearing number 2 on October 14th, 2025 to order. The following information is for the public hearing purpose only. There will be no council action during the public hearing. Presentation of proposed text amendment for the Village of Lake Park Unified Development Ordinance. Councilman Tudor is our liaison to the planning board. He was unable to be with us tonight. So Sheree is going to cover this for us.
Oh, stuck with me. So, as you know, the Village of Lake Park has worked diligently and is continuing to work diligently to address stormwater issues within the Village of Lake Park. And one of the recommendations that the planning board has to change the Unified Development Ordinance is it shall be the duty of each property owner upon whose property a storm drainage easement is present to ensure that no structure or other man-made impediment to the free flow of water is placed or erected within the easement. Just a side note, easements are marked on every survey within the Village of Lake Park. No permanent structures or impervious surfaces may be erected or placed within storm drainage easements, with the exception of impervious stormwater conveyances installed or approved for installation by the Village of Lake Park. For example, the Village of Lake Park, in its commitment to the stormwater projects, spent a substantial amount of money, no longer with the fall or lack of fall that we have in the village, the stormwater easement over on Christopher and on Frost Court did not have enough fall to move the flow of water. So with the concrete swells now through both of those channels, water does move freer. It does not sit. Therefore, it sits less than 48 hours, which is optimal as opposed to having a swamp continuously that never dried out. C, the changes would be stormwater channels within the storm drainage easement shall not be filled, blocked, piped, or altered in course unless such alterations is made or approved by the Village of Lake Park. In other words, no one can go in and put a retaining wall or decide that they want to put their storage shed in the easement. It shall be the duty of each property owner upon whose property a storm drainage easement is present to maintain the easement in a manner that ensures that vegetation, including grasses, shrubs, and trees, do not impede the flow of water through the easement. The owner of each property upon which a storm drainage easement is present shall ensure that the easement is maintained in a manner to permit the inspection, maintenance, and repair of stormwater drainage channels, pipes, and related infrastructure. It's not unusual to see me out walking in the stormwater easements, and if I can't walk in the easement, it means that you're not keeping your part of the stormwater channel addressed. And those have got to be addressed with the amount of rainfall. Of course, it's kind of hard to say with right now us being in drought-like conditions. But when it starts raining this winter, we need water flowing out of Lake Park. And if it's not flowing, it's backing up. And there lies the problem.
Any public comment on this portion of the public hearing? Council comments, Jim?
No, thank you for that, appreciate it.
Mark?
I agree, it's good.
Yes.
Bruce?
Just that it's an ongoing challenge. Stormwater is becoming an issue all throughout Union County, Mecklenburg County, Charlotte, and other states.
Nothing to add.
The only thing I would ask, Sheree, permanent structure would not necessarily mean a fence, so you can still approve a fence because it's movable, is that correct?
Yes, sir. The village's stand on that has been a fence can be approved because we have so many yards that are smaller. However, you need to understand that in the event that we need to get in there to address a stormwater issue, the property owner is responsible to take down their fence and to put their fence back up if they so desire. It is not, the village is not going to take down your fence and put it back up. That's not fair to the other taxpayers.
Is there a motion to adjourn this public?
I'll make that motion.
Mark made a motion, Bruce seconded it. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now call the Village of Lake Park regular council meeting for October 14th, 2025 to order. Public comment, John McDaniel.
So I'm here in regards to the HOA. I would like to bring up that we work very hard with the different events that we do in the village, bring a lot of things to a lot of people. And we would like to maintain control of any messaging around those events. Now, what's happened is on some social media, some of our events get highlighted by others. in a form that makes it seem as if it's being done at the behest of the town or the council. Now, I understand the difference between those pages that are owned by a village versus those that are not. But when one is not, but is run by a person who is a council member and represents that the things on that page are from the council at times, it can send a mixed message. And so like this weekend, we have an event. We have the yard sale for everyone. So when we start mixing messages with other things, it can take the focus off of where we're trying to put the focus and put it elsewhere, which is carefully planned by us and our team. So we're here to ask nicely if there can be some consideration given to ask that that be allowed to be just our responsibility within those pages.
When we get to our agenda, I was gonna add an item. I did receive an email from the HOA today, requesting the same thing that John has just requested. And then we did have one other response. I had a reply from them and spoke with our attorney and and replied back. So we'll add an agenda item to discuss social media. Just real quick, one of the questions I asked was, do you want this to apply to the village's official page 2, which council owns? And their reply back was, yes, they would like that. So we'll discuss that under social media communications. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Dennis O'Neill?
Good evening, everyone. I'm here representing myself, only myself, and no other organizations which I may or may not be affiliated with. And may address something that council has taken under advisement before. Can we get a new clock or a battery?
Yeah, it's been like that for a year or two.
Yeah.
While you're standing there, take it down,
That's the only reason why.
because I can't stand in this chair. Stand it too. It's now done.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll put it up Thursday. Is that okay?
That'll be fine. I'll put in a new battery.
All right. Any other public comment? Mayor Cleveland?
I apologize, I misunderstood the time for the public hearing at the start of this meeting. I did have comments for the nuisance ordinance, and I don't know if you would allow me to make those comments now, or that's a mistake, I apologize.
I think you've earned that right, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And I know you don't want to take copious notes on what I'm going to say, so I have, try to summarize it here. Want to thank you for the opportunity to comment on the nuisance ordinance. And I've got some general comments about just the nuisance ordinance in general. So first, let me say that I'm in favor of public nuisance ordinance. I know you spent a lot of time creating this document, and I'm sure you have had it legally reviewed. And I wasn't party to your discussion, so I don't know what all you have discussed. And maybe I'm talking about some things that you've already hashed out. However, during my tenure on council, we considered a nuisance ordinance several times and did not pursue it for the following reasons. There would be an overlap and redundancy with the HOA, CC&Rs. For the ordinance to be enforced proactively rather than complaint driven, the village would need to hire an outside code enforcement officer. At the time we looked at it, that cost was approximately $20,000 annually, just for a part-time officer. And then even with a code enforcement officer, all the phone calls and the administration is going to come back to the village office, and it's going to fall on the village administrator. So it adds an additional burden to the village administrator. In looking at the proposed ordinance, it appears that approximately half of that ordinance deals with abandoned vehicles. Personally, I was surprised that there's such a serious problem in the village with abandoned vehicles. But if it is, have you considered creating this as a separate ordinance similar to what Indian Trail has done?
And then lastly, in general, why is there no fine structure for violations? There's only notices and potential liens on the property. Then in going through, the proposed ordinance had some specific comments about the different sections. Section X-1 policy purpose and findings. Even though North Carolina General Statute 160A-193 allows you to address nuisance ordinances within a mile of Lake Park city limits, do you really want to enforce nuisances within the county or other municipalities? And looking at that, do you want Indian Trail coming in here and enforcing their nuisance ordinances, because we're within them technically could do it, although they don't state that in their ordinance. Also, I didn't understand what the definition of a derelict motor vehicle was. That was in section X-1 also. Section X-2 definitions. The code administrator. Who do you intend to be the code enforcement officer? It is my opinion that this should be someone outside of the village and not in the village administration. Same section, definition of abandoned vehicles. Talks about public property. Are streets considered public property? I think they probably are. And if so, that probably should be spelled out. They're not fine. Hazardous vehicles is just a typo there. It says broken down of a public street. Probably should read broken down on a public street. And then the junk vehicle definition. I believe there's conflict with North Carolina General Statute 168-303.2, which defines a junk vehicle as having an apparent value of less than $100. The ordinance says $500. Maybe there's a reason chose 500, but that is a conflict with general statute. Section X-3, identification and powers. A13. Do I read this correctly, that no dog houses or dog pens are allowed in someone's yard? How about a backyard fenced in area where dogs are permitted to roam? It looks like that's not allowed, or that is a nuisance. And maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe there's a reason we worded it that way. But in reading that, that's what it sounded like. That you can't have a dog in your backyard because that's an area where dogs are permitted to roam. Section X-4, D and G. To me, it seemed ironic. There's so much legislation about abandoned, hazardous, and junk vehicles, and yet the ordinance allows one junk vehicle permitted on the premises of private property. Why? Question. Pre-towing notice requirement. Section B, appeals should be made to the Board of Adjustments. According to the UDO, the Board of Adjustments is the approving authority for 1, variances subject to general statutes. 2, specific use permits subject to general statutes. And 3, appeals of administrative actions and decisions, again, subject to general statutes. There's nowhere in the UDO that says that Board of Adjustment would be the approving or the appealing authority for a nuisance ordinance. Are you going to go back and amend the UDO to allow that? Post-towing notice requirements. It talks about who is or it says the authorized village official. Just had a question there in section E. Who would that authorized village official be? The right to probable cause hearings before the sale or final disposition of the vehicle. If we're going to have a hearing in front of a judge, who represents the village at those hearings? Would that be our attorney? Question. Conditions on removal of vehicles from private property. It reads, except in those cases where the vehicle is a nuisance vehicle or a junk vehicle. Seems like it would be appropriate to add or an abandoned vehicle, because everywhere else we're talking about nuisance vehicles, junk vehicles, and abandoned vehicles. Might want to ask that. And lastly, the protection against criminal or civil liability. That's probably a question for Mr. Swain. The way that's worded, I'm just wondering if the village could legally indemnify itself by making a statement and then saying, we're not responsible. Yeah, that's probably a legal question. Again, appreciate all the work that's been done on this. I just been reading through it, had some questions and concerns, and I appreciate you letting me share that. Thank you.
Jody, you wanna
Yeah, I'm gonna address a few of them for you so
Yeah.
that, so it is all clear there. First off, yeah, just about a lot of what you asked with the like Board of Adjustments and the liability and all was what Ken added to it, so. That is Ken, we'll have to ask him, you know, what his feeling, what his reasoning for that was. On when we come up to the sale of the vehicle, that goes under general statute. That's not us selling the vehicle, that's an unclaimed vehicle from whoever towed or stored the vehicle. Yeah, that wouldn't be us ourselves doing it if, of selling the vehicle. If after we tow the vehicle away, the owner will receive notice by law, the towing and storage company, if it's unclaimed after 10 days, has to fill out a form with DMV for unclaimed motor vehicle. At that time, anybody with interest in that vehicle, any registered owner or any lien holder will be notified where the car is and what they can do to recover the car. If they abandon it at that point, the towing yard or storage facility can then file with the clerk of court to hold a sale to sell that vehicle to cover their storage and towing bills. So that goes into a whole other section. That's not us selling the vehicle. That's the storage facility selling the vehicles there. My understanding when we talked with this about the dog pens is if you look into it some, it talks about a dog pen with uncleaned feces is basically what that was, anything that causes, and that it doesn't strictly restrict any dog pens or dog houses or anything of that nature. It's where they would be kept and allow for accumulation of feces. Was what the word was on that one. The junk vehicle on premises, I kind of touched this one a little bit earlier. The one vehicle per premises, the idea behind that is you know, Bruce has collectible cars. And if Bruce just bought another Camaro to fix up, but it's not ready for him to put into his garage to do his work on it. And as long as he has that car fully covered with a good condition car cover and is just one of them for up to 60 days, he can have it there before he moves it. Cannot keep it any longer than 60 days. Just gives you a chance to get things ready to work on it. Thought it would give somebody a little bit of time on that. The term for the derelict vehicle, that's something we have to ask Ken because he brought that up and he added that into it. In addition to it, he said derelict's the definition itself. I don't know what his thought, we can't ask him on that, what it is, but that is something he added onto it. And I think that's the majority of what we, well, the code enforcement officer, who was the appointed code enforcement officer, we did, Ken did say that once we do that, we're gonna have to have not a proclamation, a resolution designating the village administrator or the person that will be enforcing this. He said after we do this, we will have that.
It does remain complaint driven though. The system, it's essentially the same system we have now. It will remain complaint driven and we question adding that to the ordinance. And Ken advised us against doing that. However, council consensus or even the motion decided that it would remain complaint driven. So if somebody sees a nuisance or feels like it is, they call down here, more than likely speak to the village administrator and gives a complaint, she'll look into it and see. And then at this point, it gives her the legal right to write that a letter and say your grass is 24 inches tall or 3 feet, whatever it is, you need to cut your grass. Whereas right now, the village really can't do that. We have no teeth to put into it to say you have to cut the grass.
What you just said is that the village administrator would do the code enforcement.
That's what the plan is.
More than likely, yes. Yeah. Would send those letters out. With the hopes of all this being that That's all it takes is a letter, and there's a reason there's no fine structure. You want to cover that? That's important.
Yeah, that's right. That was another thing you brought up. The fine structure, if we do have a fine structure, then we have to have a full appeal system set up for every violation. We can't just abate. We have to have an ability for somebody to have a hearing for it. And without the fine, we're not looking at this to try to raise money. We're just looking at this to get people to clean up properties that need to be cleaned up.
Appreciate the feedback.
And the other thing too, I thought that was interesting, too, when I read it first, that part of the general statute 160 that allows us to do something within a mile of the, that's just what's in the statute. And Ken, he likes to put everything in the right statutory terms. I did think of one thing that might come up useful for when we had problems with people that were right outside of Lake Park that filled in a stormwater ditch, and we had a very large amount of water there. That could have been something we might have had to get involved with, because we didn't know exactly who to get in touch with on that, because it was part of it was like, oh no, that's Hemi Bridge, no, that's Indian Trail. And we had a little bit of an issue. We did get that straight, but that does not give us blanket coverage on this. It just gives us the coverage on that particular general statute of 160 for health hazards. It's not blanket on our entire ordinance.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely. Laura.
What about Hemi Bridge and them burning?
Not much we can do about that.
But if you say it's within a mile of Lake Park,
Unless you want to pay for Henry Bridge's garbage to be picked up, there's nothing you can do.
They're entitled to be able to burn when they don't have garbage pickup.
but it doesn't stop at Hemi Bridge.
Right. And that's under,
That's Union
under
County,
the
state.
Union County and North Carolina general statutes allow for trash to be burned
Mhm.
if you don't have it. So we can't supersede the North Carolina statute. The only other thing I would add on the last piece there, Mayor Cleveland, is when you talk about protection against this criminal and civil liability, I think it spells out in the nuisance abatement, summarily abatement happening, the general statute states that there's no civil, there can be no civil or criminal liability against the municipality for enforcing this if you get to that point. Now, I can tell you that the position of current council is we don't want to get to that point with anybody, in particular going to court or having to go represent, send either the code enforcement officer or the attorney to a court hearing. We hope that we can simply send a letter that we actually can have some teeth in to say, please cut that grass or do whatever. And it's a fluid document that one of the things that some people have asked is, why do you not include fences that are leaning over? And I think that was discussed and was decided there will be many other things that will come about that probably will be added to the nuisance ordinance, and fences are just something that come to mind. If there's a house that's got a fence at 45 degrees and it's been that way, beside this person's immaculate house, it's just like while it may not be a health hazard, it's certainly could be devaluing their property, which is what this is intended to help with. So, a lot of absolute good points. Would you send that electronically so she can send it to Ken also? And our attorney's not here tonight because of the situation that he's dealing with. So. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for your insight.
Thank you. All right, in your package recent out, you've got the minutes from September 9th, 2025, as well as you should have seen the September 9th, 2025 closed session minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make it.
Jim made a motion, Mark seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Also, the consent agenda was on the regular agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda or anything pulled from that?
Make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Joe made a motion, Bruce seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Got the current agenda before you. I would like to add under item 15, communications. We'll make it A, social media. Any other requested additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Motion to approve. Jim's made a motion, Mark second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm sorry.
Jim,
Motion.
sorry, just let me know. Union County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, it looks like we had one alarm, general calls for services 51, preventive patrol 646, traffic stops 32, other self-initiative calls 35, and warnings 8, and 4 citations in Lake Park citations.
Anything, any major problems? I don't have many car break-ins or anything like that?
No, not right now.
Nothing.
Yes, hopefully it stays that way.
Any questions for Deputy Clerk? Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. You too. Thank you.
Take care, be safe.
Henry Bridge Fire Department, 222 calls, fire and EMS for September, and the new fire station, as probably everybody has seen on Facebook, is finally open. They are planning an open house middle of November, is what Wendy told me the other night. They don't have that date set yet. We'll start to publish that once we have it, so. everybody- We got Cheryl up.
There she is.
Okay, you have the September reports. And the first quarter of the year. We've started getting in our ad valorem tax and the motor vehicle tax. We got the last payment for last year of the state shared revenues. And it came in a little less than what I had budgeted. So that's why you see like a negative 4,300 on the electric tax and a negative 388 on the video tax. We spent $10,782 on engineering fees for stormwater, and we spent $93,348 on repair and maintenance and stormwater. We paid the legal bill for Ken for the quarter. That's running a little high. And the other bills are pretty much just normal bills, waste collection and landscaping. So are there any questions on the financials?
Any questions, Cheryl? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
Last month, there was a motion made to amend the minimum fund balance policy from 50% down to 40%, and that motion was approved. A little bit later on, I was looking at the website, and that actual policy is posted on the website with the 50% number on there. So I had asked Cheryl to be just clear and transparent down the line, and so there's a record of it. Did we need to adopt a new policy? And so Sheree sent out today what she and Cheryl had got together, which simply just said the policy was adopted in 2011 and then amended twice now. Or not, only amended once, but we read it back into the minutes in 2024 also. So Cheryl suggested that we put forth that. Anything else, Cheryl, on that?
No, just gives you a clear trail of it.
Yeah.
So we need to make a motion to.
Yeah, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the minimum fund balance policy as agreed last month's meeting.
I'll second.
Jerry made a motion, Bruce second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stormwater, Sheree.
So we, as everyone is aware, if you have notified, stormwater repairs are underway this week. And we have some current road closures that we're working on. We also have, we completed one stormwater repair. There's two on Lincoln Court. And the one going to the Alden Pond pipe has been completed with the exception of landscaping. When we approved the funds for the stormwater projects, we did not include funds for a new catch basin at that end of Lincoln Court on the Alden side. Because it was not considered a 5. But with us replacing the pipe from the catch basin all the way, it just makes sense while we're there to go ahead and replace that catch basin. So I am asking tonight for an additional $1,500. I have the money, I just need the approval to spend for the catch basin itself, because otherwise we're gonna be back, have to dig up the pipe to reconnect. It's not logical. So we went ahead when we were over there, and I need council's approval for the $1,500 catch basin on that end of, on the Alden Pond end on Lincoln Court.
Make the motion to replace the catch basin at Alden Pond.
I'll second. One more. Bruce second.
Joe made a motion, Bruce second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
The picture that you see, the hole that is there in the asphalt was on Mother Teresa today when we started digging up. So that just shows you how disjointed that piece of pipe was. There was nothing there. So Mother Teresa was completed this afternoon about 4 o'clock with everything except the asphalt. So until we finish all 4 road projects, we will not be putting down the asphalt. It'll come in as the last thing. Tomorrow, Conifer Circle between Gladstone Way and Balsam at the Kite Girl will be closed. And I've been in contact with Ms. Kearns because it does affect bus routes for the children. All emergency services are aware. And like I said, if you receive e-notify, everyone knows. So, and if you're not a member on e-notify, there is a half sheet of paper out here on the table in the lobby. Please take a form home with you. I don't send out for lost kids and lost dogs, but I do send out for road construction and trash collection when that changes. So we're underway and moving. So hopefully, depending on what we find tomorrow at Conifer, will determine whether we'll be able to finish tomorrow or it will be Thursday on that. You know, we're just moving project to project. We will not, once we get all, and then the last one in this group, next week, the second Lincoln Court repair will be on Monday. And then we'll be putting down asphalt. I will once again send out on e-notify that I'll be asphalting those areas because I know I at least appreciate and will avoid the asphalt with my car. So I try to give everyone that option. So that's where we are on that. And then do you have any questions on the top 5 that we're working on?
I would just tell the audience real quick, since it does involve a bunch of money. So the village last year contracted with Eagle Engineering for $450,000 to map the stormwater system village-wide. It's a lot of money, but we feel like it's a lot of money well spent. So they mapped it all, cambered it all, did overhead drone photos of the entire village and all the easements. And then they graded all the problems with 1 through 5 based on the national scale that they used. And then we asked them to take the 5 were the worst. We asked them to give us what the worst 5 of the 5 were, so that we could try to tackle them this year. And so that's what they did. So this is just an example of their cameras found that hole in the pipe, and had we not found it now, it would have caved that entire road section in at some point in time. So we're able to just excavate that piece, put a new pipe in, and put 3 feet of road asphalt back in, or whatever that measurement is, versus a road collapse that we had no idea was coming or not coming. So that's where all that came from. The contractor sent us those photos this morning as he was digging out.
Most of council is aware, I don't know if everyone is aware, but we had a water main break over here in front of Mr. Troll's house at Connie's Pond. And it has negatively impacted Connie's Pond. The water main break was called in by one of the village contract deputies about 2 o'clock on Friday. And Union County Water responded to the call. And they called in emergency locates, but they didn't turn the water off. So the water main break, the water from the water main break continued to flow. And the crew left the site and then returned at 5:30 to start the repairs. Due to the volume and velocity of the water, a significant amount of water migrated through the surrounding soil, impacting the surrounding infrastructure, including the road, sediment in the pond, and caused a fish kill. The Village of Lake Park has reached out to Eagle Engineering, and we had them evaluate and provide us with recommendations on how to proceed with the problem. We have notified Mr. Yang Yi with he's the Union County Water Administrator, and Brian Matthews, who is the Union County Manager, concerning this issue, and we are waiting to hear back on how they want us to proceed with the repairs on this. So I just wanted to update council that we are working on that.
Thank you, Sri. Any questions for Sri on stormwater? Park and Recreation, the Lake Park Night Out was a huge success. Ran out of food, ran out of ice cream, was sent for more ice cream. Lori, you did a great job. We appreciate what you do for the village from the event side of it. There were more people. Typically, if we start an event at 5:30 or 6, it's half hour, 45 minutes before it really gets crowded. We started this at 5:30, and that top right-hand picture was at the sheriff's office was not even quite set up yet. So that's 5:25. And there were lines at the food vendors and at the rides that early. And then people just kept coming. We estimate 500-600 people. There were a lot of young children out there. So it was a good night. They all did good jobs. Thank you. An overview of our landscape enhancements for the fall that you just approved tonight in your consent agenda is to revamp the landscape over at the Matheson gazebo. Each year we've tried to get some of the focal points, focal areas cleaned up, some of the old landscape pulled out, new stuff put in. That's really the last focal point area that we didn't do it last year. We pushed it to this year, so that was on the list. A revamp of the volleyball court, which simply means getting it back squared up. If you go out there and look, the sand is really eased out towards areas it should go to. So we'll square that back up, probably put in some sod around it, get it back squared to the right dimensions and cleaned up. Various tree and shrub replacements throughout the village. The Park and Rec Commissioners all did their quarterly review and or their quadrant review and made recommendations. We ordered plants that we put in where stuff's done. We did lose those large Lelands or whatever they were behind the sign there at Conifer and Faith Church Road. Had those taken out. It was 2 months ago, I think you remember. And so Will's recommendation were 3 large magnolias to go back behind there. So that's what's going back there. And then to re-landscape the Alden Pond from the recent construction that Sheree just talked about is also included in that landscape. Also, you approved tonight in your consent agenda the addition of Christmas decor throughout the village. the things that we'll be adding are around the square, around Matheson Square, and then down Lake Park Road here in front of the community center will be those lit snowflakes. They'll go on the poles where the banners are, on the opposite side of where the banner is, the snowflake. And then some grapevine balls is what they're called, that will hang in the trees out in Matheson Square. 4 trees that are picked out, and eventually we could add to it each year if we choose to. It's gonna be a little bit of a change for Henry on his installation. The company that we're purchasing this stuff from came down and met with us and with Henry as well. And they are gonna come on site the day of the grapevine install, because it is a little bit of wiring that has to be done tree to tree. The wire will be strung overhead tree to tree to get the power to that tree. So we hope vandalism won't bite us in the rear end, but there's always that opportunity, so.
And those wires will come down yearly.
Yes, they'll come down whenever he takes it down, correct, yeah.
And go ahead, I'll pass that.
The new tree over on Meeting Street, which we're still watching its health, it did receive some damage when it was planted. And Will said it would take a year to know whether that tree is gonna survive and do well. So we're still in the grace period on that to see, but the monies you approved tonight also covers the new lights for that. It'll be the colored mini lights, as well as a complete revamp of the front entrance there, out at Lake Park and Unionville Indian Trail Road. He plugs that into AI and got the, you know, what it should look like back. And it looks, we hope it'll look nice. Mark, do you have a question on that?
You were gonna talk to the guy that does the lights.
Henry.
Henry, about what it would cost to do some of this stuff. Because the company that's selling this stuff basically charges a lot to install that on a yearly basis, and you were gonna get with our man, to discuss those costs.
Yeah, and Henry gave us a will not exceed quote of, I don't remember what that amount was. It's in the consent, it's in the monies for the total package. It's gonna be different this year because like on the brackets for the poles, he'll install the bracket this year. That bracket is black and will stay on the pole year round. So he's got extra time this year than he will have next year. Next year, he'll just slide the snowflake in it and light it. So he's still kind of in an unknown, but he gave us a quote. He amended his quote $4,000 or $5,000, what he was for total. The company we're buying this from, my biggest concern was the grapevine balls. So I asked what they would charge to just come put the grapevine balls in for us this year. And that would have been $5,000 just for those 4 trees. So obviously we didn't go right, but they did say that they would come. The guy lives in Fort Mill, the salesman. He is also an installer. In October, November, he transitioned from sales to installers because that's what they have to do. So he's done it many times throughout the region. So he's going to come out here on Saturday, the day that Henry starts, and get the power started to the first tree so that Henry can get it jumped across. But Henry felt good about being able to do it as long as he had some guidance on that up front. So Henry will be the one doing it, not them.
And we've already been through one demonstration.
Yeah, he actually brought all his stuff out here to
And
show
we
Henry.
demo. Yeah.
How to do it. Full report for the memberships, 306 memberships sold. The revenue this year for membership, 74,775. In parentheses, last year's number, just for comparison. Walk-up revenue, 19,695, 20,625 last year. Thought it would be interesting. We had a lot of discussion about the credit card, whether to use it, not to use it, what to do. And the credit card cash ratio for walk-ups, well, for everything, but that's mostly walk-ups, is broken there, and almost 50% of people use the credit card to swipe. The front entrance waterfall, is probably everybody has seen, has struggled for the past 14 years, I think, but particularly for the past month or two. We've had one pump go out and another pump go out, and then the pumps were pulled out and they weren't really out. There was some other problem. They swapped the pumps and half of it worked. So problem we've got up there, we have freshwater mussels who are getting in the pump and in the pipe and clogging the pipes up. And the pond company has got a chemical they're gonna try, but they're not, they've said it might work. They're gonna try it. It's been a mess to deal with. They believe we don't have this problem anywhere else that we know of. They believe somebody poured a home aquarium in that pond at some point in time. And those mussels have just continually grown. It's unbelievable the amount that are up there. So anyway, this past weekend, a couple guys came over and cut the pipes out of the ground, put some different plumbing to them. They can now be detached, cleaned out, and put back together. And it'll be much better now. And the pipe on the far left was completely clogged with clams or mussels or whatever you want to call it. It was unbelievable when we got it apart and looked at it. So hopefully that's fixed now. I know there's been a lot of calls and comments about it not working and not looking right. Knock on wood, we can fix it now. Our next meeting is October 27th. We'll be discussing fall projects and whatnot. Welcome to join us. Planning board, Shereen, thing from the meeting overview.
Both Harrison Walser and Bob Burnell took their oaths of office. So we're glad to have them back for another 3-year terms. And the only other question I have at this point is if council has any questions or concerns in reference to the proposed UDO amendment. Otherwise, we need a motion to adopt the following text amendment changes to the Unified Development Ordinance. Are you reading that?
Yep. I, Joe Scaldera, motion to adopt the following text amendment changes to the Unified Development Ordinance. All text changes and made and suggested by the Village of Lake Park Planning Board and to Article 13 of the Village of Lake Park Unified Development Ordinance regarding stormwater management and the need to address improved standards for stormwater runoff and further detail the requirements for responsibility and maintenance of easements associated therewith. These changes are reflected verbatim on the attached sheets and are incorporated by reference as if fully set out here. This motion includes, after conducting a public hearing regarding the suggested changes, the following findings by the Village Council. The Village Council finds that the proposed amendments set forth above to the Village of Lake Park Unified Development Ordinance, which serves as a comprehensive zoning plan for the village, are consistent with the plan and the standards for stormwater runoff and maintenance associated easements contained within Article 13 have been part of the ordinance since its inception. These standards and requirements continue to be an important area of legislative management as the village ages and the need for effective stormwater management increases. The amendment addresses continued consistency with those areas of legislation. The Village Council further finds that the proposed stormwater management amendments to Article 13 of the Village of Lake Park Unified Development Ordinance are reasonable and in the public interest since they provide local legislation that is consistent with the UDO and provide further detail for the effective management of stormwater and other necessary requirements for maintenance of the easements associated therewith. Without such legislation, risks for stormwater damage and events of peril would be increased and more significantly impactful.
Joe has made a motion, Jim seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Public services, waste collection, Jim, anything? I'm not seeing many issues popping up really.
Yeah, there's been a couple of little calls.
Anything on your end, waste man?
No, other than the alley, Time Warner or Spectrum, whatever they are this week, decided they were installing a new cable last Thursday and had one of my alleys blocked, but we got all the trash picked up, so.
Streets and sidewalks, Bruce?
Alrighty. The saga continues, there's always repairs, especially streets, unnecessary sidewalks. We've got, one situation over on Conifer where the, ground is caving in behind the sidewalk, much like we saw on Frost Court, I think, what, 6 months ago? And that needs to be addressed, which is going to necessitate pulling up a couple of panels, digging it out, seeing what's going on, because there is no stormwater drain that's running through that area, so it's a little bit off of what we've seen in the past. But that's gonna be in the neighborhood of right around $6,200 to straighten that out. And I think I go on that before too long, while the weather is with us. Then we have two situations, one on Cortland and the other one over on Balsam. Balsam, there's a pothole that's opened up. Hopefully it won't turn out to be something like we're seeing in other streets. And then on Cortland, the road has started to scale. It's like it had a bad overlay at one time in the past, and it's happening, pieces are just breaking away. But instead of doing the complete road, which doesn't seem to be needed like we had on Frederick, we're gonna do a 5x5 area. And hopefully that will do the job and take care of it. Time will tell after we do it. So that would be right in the neighborhood of $3,200. So we're kind of looking, add two up, we're looking at,
99, 50, 10,000.
yeah, it's right around 10 grand. I'm not a math major. So I'd like to get approval on that through Powell funds that we do have available to us. And then before I close the door, and I haven't moved forward yet, I got a list of sidewalk issues from Park and Rec Commission, which I went out and looked at. Of the 12, I only really see 4 that will need to be addressed, but they're not real dangerous like we've seen in the past. So I haven't even had discussion with our contractor to look at those. Plus, we have one section that the sidewalks are scaling, almost like a bad sunburn. And the only thing that I can believe has caused that was back when the sidewalks were done, they didn't get a chance to set completely. Might have been like a light rain or something that affected. So over time now, it's like the top skin of the sidewalk is just peeling right off. Again, I don't have any estimate on those yet. By next month, I hope to, but not at this time. So the only thing I'm looking for approval on is the 9950 to Casey Concepts for the issues on Conifer and the road issues over on Portland. And I would say we go with Powell funds on that.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
Bruce has made a motion. Mark second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Bruce,
Thank you.
lighting and electrical, Jeremy?
Well, not too much going on. I think we're gonna have to fix a couple of outlets probably. And we're gonna start looking at those sometime soon, or,
I think he might have been out here today with some stuff, but I'm not
because
sure.
I do know one of those outlets on one of the poles out by the park does not work. So we'll have to probably go through those and check those out soon. I still haven't had, a response from Brad with Union Power yet. We have several residents that are complaining about the lights being too bright. And he's going to issue, but we just haven't heard anything from him. I'm gonna reach back out to him and see if I get anything from him.
And the one across from my place, it's on 24/7.
They don't seem to care, because I have told them several times about
We pay
that.
the electric.
Well, fortunately, we just pay a fee for it, so it's a flat fee for the light, so it doesn't really cost us, but it's, those, obviously, those bulbs don't last as long. You know, so that's more of an issue. All right, ordinance review committee. So, we had our meeting. Is there any questions besides, there was the one addition or one change that I just made right here on X2 under the hazardous vehicles that Mayor Cleveland brought up to us. Just just doing the clerical error where it broke down of a public vehicle. I'm gonna amend it to say on a public vehicle or on a public street. And they're broke down on a public street. But besides that, is there any other conversation that we want to have about this, about the ordinance?
We would say that Mayor Cleveland's gonna email, send that electronically forward to Ken, and still move forward tonight, but if there are things from this that Ken sees,
Just
just
amend it.
amend it to fit that. The only other piece I got thinking of was that, when you addressed this before, David,
Yes.
the $100 low vehicle fee, that was amended too.
Well, it was, it's another one of those strange things that it is listed, the general statute itself actually contradicts itself. If you look at 160 that does with the abatement, it says a vehicle of $100. If you go to section 20 that deals with vehicles, it says $500. I brought that in the part before you got here that we're, again, it's just something that's in the statute. It's not, we're not going to really work off the value of vehicles. It's kind of, just, we're not in a,
Too
business
arbitrary.
of, yeah, it's arbitrary of what it is. And, I'm here to tell you right now, I'm kind of an expert in that field, and, a junk car is worth $500. You cut off the catalytic converter, you've got, the money right there. So you're not going to run into a car that's worth less than $100 or under $500, really.
Yeah, but then you argue we can sell for parts or something.
Wouldn't be ours to actually sell, but yeah. So with that being said, I would like to make the motion to pass the ordinance as I've amended. We're going to call this ordinance section 14. That's the next available one. So everything with the X will be replaced with section 14.
Joe's made a motion, Jim second. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I have not decided if we're gonna have a meeting next week or not. We have to see. We've been all working on this for so long. We might not be ready for anything else yet. So
We had
may or
talked
may
about
not.
something. What was the next thing?
Well, the next thing that was brought up was possibly doing something on the animal control ordinance about tether. That was the next thing that was brought up. So, we really are gonna have to sit down as, come up with a couple ideas that bring it to council to see if it's something they want to move forward with or not. So that would be our next business.
Thank you. Technology?
Technology, it's been brought to my attention that I have not updated the videos as much as I should. All I can say on that is I've been busy. I'll try to get a little bit better at that to get caught up with it. I'm working on that. I have been working on the menu. Sharice gave me some ideas on the phone menu. Switch channels here real quick on you. Sharice gave me a couple ideas, and I'm working out making them work for a dial by name directory on the menu so people can get in touch with people a little bit easier than that, and just a couple of other little changes that were suggested. That'll be coming soon.
Special projects, Drew?
So, as far as the landings are concerned, you pretty much see what's going on out there. They're working away. Eagle has not, we received the proposed electrical street lighting for the project that came from Union Power and DRB. Eagle is reviewing that, and I've not heard back on that yet, but we are continuing to work on that. I also have provided for council for next month. I sent Ken things that had come up in different conversations that I've had with different council people, and things that I had come up with, a proposal for Kinetics / Windstream. And we started with the original Ripple Fiber encroachment agreement. And we have added additional things that we learned. And so all the changes are marked in red. And I would like to request that you take this home and look it over, put your pearls of wisdom on it, send me some emails back. And I would like, if at all possible, within the next 10, max 14 days, for you to send any feedback back to me so I can get with Ken, so we can get this. I would like to be able to send it out in council packets for November, that you guys can look at it and see if you're ready for us to submit to Kinetics. If for some reason you don't think we can make this timeline, or you're really not happy with the ideas in this, let's have a conversation.
My quick question for this is, are we going to be able to, this might be a Ken question, but are we going to be able to make them retroactively comply with this, what they've already done?
Joe, I put it in the contract.
Did you put that in there?
That was one of my questions, as far as like, it says, no utility handheld device shall be installed within 100 feet of another.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Is that going to, can we make them retroactively go back?
I don't know, but if we don't put it in here, the answer is definitely no. So, that's the reason, this is kind of, in all honesty, this is the wish list of items where I'm still concerned, and Windstream would like to come and talk to us. I have put them off right now because I want to make sure you guys are happy, that we have a document that you're happy with before they come, and then we can have a conversation. So you're driving the boat. You just have to tell me.
Is this a fair statement? Windstream Connect, whatever it's called, is going to put fiber in our neighborhood, whether we want it or not, because there's an easement. And they are allowed as a public company to do that. And we're trying to get the best possible deal out of it to conform to what Ripple had. Right.
Windstream is a public traded utility. And yes, in the state of North Carolina, when there is an easement, that's what easements are for. So yes, we are working diligently to get the best opportunity, the best deal that we can.
Yeah, that was basically said for their benefit.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm gonna say.
The other thing that I mentioned to Sheree about, that we don't need to be in any hurry here, is we're gonna have at least one new council position,
person.
possibly two, at the end of this year, and this is a big decision that I think that incoming council should be the ones to make the final decision on. So I don't think we're even ready to vote or discuss this till
No.
December, January, maybe February, who knows?
Yeah.
One other interesting quick point, and I'll jump off this, that Sheree, from her last meeting with them, they did say that the large devices that we had here, the largest handholds or whatever you would call those, the vaults, they actually are willing to bury those underground. Like they would put dirt, they would put soil back on top of those because they don't have to access those big ones very often, and when they do, they can dig it up.
But
You can't do that with the hand.
With the splice, where the cable's just being spliced, those can be completely buried. However, one of your trade-offs kind of is, when you're down in these cul-de-sacs and it's so tight, there's going to be, I don't think they're gonna be able, I may be wrong, but just based on the information that's been communicated, they're not gonna be able to be 100 feet apart from each other, potentially. But like I said, you start with your wish list of things, and then we'll work on it. But up until the conversation at our last meeting, I didn't know that they could or would even discuss burying where there's a pure splice
And that's in the big
box,
box.
and that's one of the big boxes. So that would be great. No one would ever know it's there, which would be very nice.
Those are very unsightly.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, technology, we all remember the tree that's on 485 over by the middle school that sticks straight up in the air by itself and it's this, has these limbs. It's not, you
You
know.
can barely tell it's a cell tower.
Yeah, yeah, you know, so I'm sorry, but the easiest thing is to just say no. But when you do that, you lose your leverage.
No.
Now, one of the things, and I did not understand this, and I now understand it with Ripple, not from Ripple, but from kinetics and the process and everything. Townhomes, because of the way townhomes are built, not manufactured, because they're not manufactured, but the way they're built to install internet, this fiber optic internet, is extremely difficult for the signal. And so that is the reason why the townhomes don't have the option of having Ripple.
A number of those townhomes do have the little black boxes on them.
They installed them, but they said getting through the wall.
They couldn't.
Now, the new townhomes, they're pre-wired for it, but retrofit is trouble for it.
Retrofit is a big problem. So Ripple does not have a single townhome on their network, which is just kind of interesting. The other thing I will pass on to you as an FYI, the village, when Eagle was mapping and doing the stormwater, you know, we found the pipe over on Cortland that was installed. They decided to install their fiber through the pipe. Okay, so they're in the process, supposedly this week, based on my conversations with them, of correcting the issue. And I'm not real sure how they plan to do that. I keep asking the person and I keep getting, well, we're going to move forward with this. We're moving forward. And so, but we are very aware and we're working to get that piece of pipe corrected. And basically, they would be removing and running a section, almost like a plastic liner through that, which would still seal and everything. And that was Eagle's recommendation also. So we'll see, but we are in negotiations to get that repaired so that we don't have a future stormwater opportunity there.
Sheree, will that disrupt any service in the village?
According to Ripple, the answer is no.
They're gonna repair and splice the same day as well.
Yeah.
Obviously. That also was found during the mapping project when they were going through that particular piece of storm drain. They found ripples that they had.
Yeah.
Right through the pipe, so. And it's a fairly extensive repair at their cost. Thank you, sure. Item 15, communications, and I had added A and B down to C. So I received an email this afternoon from the HOA from CUSIC, basically requesting or asking that I speak with Councilman Richards to ask him to stop sharing the HOA's event information on, to stop sharing it. Didn't say whether on his page or on all pages, but in all, stop sharing it anywhere. And the reasons you heard the president of the HOA, Mr. McDaniel, speak earlier were given in the email. So I had replied back. I did speak to Ken for just a little bit and replied back with, the council owns the official page. And so council, I said, I'm willing to bring the council tonight to say, I said, does the HOA want me to ask council to not share it either on the official page? Which I don't think we regularly have. Maybe we have, I'm not sure. But the answer from the HOA back was, yes, would you please address it on the official page as well as address it with all elected officials to stop sharing the information. And the concerns, as you heard from Mr. McDaniel, are the scheduling of the event, if there's times or places that differ, that could be confusing. I did tell the HOA in my reply that while I was happy and the council will have the discussion about the official page, from cursory research from our attorney, that we as council, particularly I as mayor or the village as a whole, can't tell Mark, nor Jim, nor Sheree, nor John what you can or can't do with your own page, with a page that you own. And the reply I got back from the HOA was they still requested that I have the conversation because they feel like that that's maybe not correct, since it can be perceived that Mark's page is an official page, that it's put out by a councilman, and the name of the page is Village of Lake Park, North Carolina. So talk back to Ken a little bit, and some of this is overlapping. So it's a few things fold. The last thing that I told the HOA in my reply was I would request from council, do you have a desire, Ken did some cursory research, taking some time to do some real research, and want to spend money on attorney time to figure this out. We'll get to that in a minute. So question number one is, the HOA is requesting of the Village of Lake Park official page to not share or reproduce their event information unless they specifically ask us to. Does council have any position on that? Can I get a motion?
A motion for what?
To not share the HOA's information on the Village of Lake Park page.
Well, I
Make a
can-
motion to not do something?
I would like, I think we make sure.
Okay. I'll make the motion to not
So now
share.
you're saying we're gonna make a motion where you can force me not to be able to make those.
No,
items?
it's just
No,
the village page.
no,
Just the village
the
page.
official page.
Oh, the official page. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
I'll make.
I
the
don't
motion
recall ever
to-
posting.
We're
one, but
gonna
I'm
have
sure-
some comment in a minute.
Okay,
Hold
sorry.
back, please.
I'll make the motion to not share HOA information on the village page.
Unless
Facebook
requested.
page. Unless.
Because they might ask us
Yeah,
to.
yes. Unsolicited information.
Joe made a motion, Bruce seconded. Any further discussion?
I'll for it. Go ahead.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. The question number two for council to discuss is, do you want to, you want me to instruct Kim to do some more research into this to find out if we as the village, this has nothing to do with Mark specifically. Do you want our attorney to research, can the village do anything to stop someone from posting the information or naming a page a certain way or anything like that? What?
I think we might need to spend a little bit of legal money to check out our social policy and see if something needs to be adjusted on that. If there's something that we're doing or something that's being done, I mean, I've done a little bit of research on this with all this. It's not clear because, social media still is a new thing for everything. It's nothing that's been around. But it can be construed that if an elected official speaks business on any page, whether it be his personal page or that, it does become public record. And then doing something, changing it, deleting it could be against the law. So we could run into a problem with that. And we might need to look into it a little bit to see if we're on point with where we need to be with the way that things are going with the changes in social media.
I know there was some additional commentary that I didn't even see till I got home. I didn't know about this, but there was a post. There were some comments back and forth between the HOA actually came on their official page and said that they had requested Councilman Richards to stop.
Yeah, I
sharing
sent a
that
copy of that particular post to Sheree and Jeremy and Roy, I think maybe Ken.
Ken and Audrey, I guess, through the same email chain.
I don't think the HOA was enough.
So I know that y'all, the HOA specifically asked this afternoon on the page to stop sharing, but I don't know where that went. If they ask you to stop sharing, you're willing to stop sharing, and we don't got to spend money on it. I don't know how you meet with that or what y'all's decision was. I'll let you have the floor.
Okay, first of all, John, you're the one that basically was the one posted with me, correct, with comments?
I did not post. it.
It's hard to tell when it says Lake Park HOA, because when you first came up with that
That
title,
was not me.
I thought it was Lori.
That was me.
So I said, is that you? And you go, yes, it's me, and with a smiley face. So I assumed it was her to begin with, but that was 2 years ago in 2023.
There are different people who have access. to
But I assumed it was
It's always
probably
gonna be-
still you. Okay. So when I posted that, you or John, you were on one of them. 'Cause you had your name on it.
The one under my name.
You originally came on and said that we've warned you many times before, and that's true. You have sent me many emails to the village, Lake Park emails, whatever. I understand. I admit that you have warned me many times in the past.
Asked.
What?
Asked, not warned, asked.
All of,
Requested.
every one of you. I don't care. Pick one, two, whatever, it doesn't matter.
And Mark, she said that they asked, she said they asked.
Oh,
They
I'm
didn't-
sorry.
They didn't warn, they asked, is what she said.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, what did I say?
Warned.
Warned. Asked politely, many times, granted. And then when one of you first made a comment, I figured, okay, I'm gonna make a disclaimer at the top. So I added this disclaimer up at the top right after my comment, top post. I put a disclaimer, da, 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 da. I can read it for you if you like, if you haven't seen it. And then I made a couple examples of where the Lake Park HOA site is pretty well worthless as far as getting information out to people. And then you came back with, well, I got 33 likes on this one. And I asked you twice, where did you post that? And you wouldn't answer my question.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen it. That was pulled from the village page.
That was on what?
My question is, why are we fighting on Facebook? It's completely unprofessional. Okay, squabbling.
Yeah,
about
and
who has likes.
your September 25th conversation.
Hey,
with
Mark,
you-
Mark. So, this debate right here is not with the audience. This is
It has a lot to do with the HOA's posts.
It does, but you don't have the right to discuss with them in the audience during this meeting. You can't do it the way you're doing it.
So why am I allowed to ask a question?
You're not asking a question, you were out of line. So anyway, here's where I'm at for this council tonight. The HOA asked you today, will you stop posting their stuff? I never saw, did you answer that or not?
No.
No, you didn't answer it, or no, you won't? No, you didn't answer them, or no, you will not?
I don't get what your question is.
They asked you, will you stop sharing their information?
And I said, no.
Okay, that's what I was asking you. I didn't know if you meant no or
I
not.
thought you were asking.
Sure, I understand. Okay, so that's all I was asking here, because if you said yeah, then we don't have the ball.
If I had a Lake Park page and put my dog as the owner of it, with Wilton's picture, would that be allowed? Which is just me, because I'm a councilman. Can I have Wendy do it all?
If you're asking me the question, I would say, why do you feel the need to interfere
Because you
with
guys
another
just don't get it
organization?
out there is why.
We get it
Okay.
out there just fine, but it's
No,
not
it
your
isn't just fine.
responsibility to.
Can I make a statement?
All right,
We need to-
I'm done.
All right, so
No, this is important, this is important. So, as the HOA, the events committee, we asked vendors, we asked vendor coordinator, we asked the band, please do not post about this event until you're instructed to. The reason for that is,
So if,
the
Mark,
reason for that is, last year, by 5 o'clock, we had given away 750 wristbands. We had over 1,000 people there last year.
what event was this?
The fall festival,
Okay.
the one that I asked you to please respectfully, do not post this anymore. So what happens is when you post these things, people are sharing with their families. You know, I know you say you can't share it, you don't have share access, but they can screenshot and they can send it to their families and so forth. And it gets all over Union County. I know you think it just stays right here in my park, but it doesn't. And there is a method to what we've thought about when it comes to this, okay? We posted the sneak peek on our page, September the 4th. That was 2 months exactly until the event. And then we're gonna lead up to that. We don't want a bunch of people to know about this event right now. It's our biggest event. And when our residents come and they have to wait an hour for a ride, or they don't get a wristband, or they don't have enough food on the food truck, that looks bad on us.
My page
So
is
we are
limited to
trying
Lake Park.
we are trying to keep crowd control at a minimum and respectfully asking you, please do not post this.
This goes out to Lake Park residents.
Okay,
Period.
I'm gonna call.
I'm the only
I'm gonna call a point of order. I'm gonna call a point of order.
All right.
I don't think you could understand what she was saying, and I'm not in the middle of it. This will be the last piece of council was good. She was saying, you're right, it is Lake Park residents, but if they screenshot it and they share it to their page or send it to family that doesn't live
There
here,
is no
that's.
share button on the page.
I said, if they screenshot it
Oh,
and send it out, I'm just telling you what,
well, then I can screenshot it and send it out. But Wilton can,
I'm not-
Wendy can.
I'm not
There's
saying,
enough people that don't
Mark,
like
you're
the
not-
HOA who would love to.
you're
do
not
it.
listening to what I'm telling you. What they're saying is, when you screenshot it, when a resident here screenshots it and
I
shares it,
get that, I get that.
can I finish? When they screenshot it and they send it on their personal page to all their 1,500 friends,
Mhm.
then it could drive in community folks from outside the community. That's what you're trying to control. Am I right?
Yes.
I'm not taking sides either way. I'm just telling you what she's trying to tell you to make sure you understand.
So if I put a disclaimer, this information needs to
Just
stay in Lake Park.
post it. Just let
How
us
can my,
control
my,
it.
my
All right,
little
all
post
right.
section?
Mark, point of order, stop.
All right.
Council, right now, the discussion is, do you want to spend money with the attorney to look at the social media policy? Joe has made a motion.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Mark seconded. Any further
No, I
discussion?
want to make the motion.
Joe had already made the motion.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Fine.
Mark, all right, get that motion straight. Mark made it and Joe seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Community information, your show, sir.
Hmm?
Community information is your up.
You guys are the Lake Parkers.
Tomorrow.
Well, I usually do the HOA information. So my information is a month old. I always sell the community information. I always say this.
So I'm asking you to do it now.
Well, I'm saying these people know more about it than I do. Mine's a month old, my information.
So you don't have any information?
I have no HOA information this month. Anything for the newsletter?
Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
do. We want to make sure that we put in, information in reference to, just drew a blank. In reference to the, I want to remind people that taxes are being collected by Union County because we're getting calls wanting to know why they've not received their Lake Park tax bill. Then it's because they've forgotten that it's on the Union County tax bill. So Lake Park taxes are being billed and collected by Union County once again.
Gotcha.
So please put that out there to them. We also want to put, stormwater change. If you need me to do a summation, or you can pull it off of the stormwater, that I handed council for their information, please put the changes to the UDO, because that's gonna be very important moving forward with people that are wanting to unintentionally put things in the stormwater easements, because now that has really, they need to be very aware. You've also got, we need some type of summation on the nuisance ordinance, again, with a little more detail. And it may be that we need to break it down a section at a time, but we need to make sure that we're getting information out there on that nuisance ordinance. And please ask people to make sure that they are not blowing their leaves into the common areas, because I stopped and had conversations with 2 residents that are longtime members of the Village of Lake Park and should have known better, and they were blowing them like no tomorrow.
Yeah, last month I didn't have any room to put anything about leaves, which is usually.
Yeah. Remind people they need to bag their leaves. We will take up to 15 bags.
Paper.
In paper, 15 bags a week though. So, and please keep them out of the storm drains, because if you clog the storm drains, we're impacting the ponds with the algae.
Right.
So if we can please put that information in, and people with their trees, especially the ones that are overhanging the streets and sidewalks, people need to limb up their trees. And this is the time of year, once we get the first frost, they can start having them limbed up, would have zero negative impact to the trees. So please ask them to do that, because we're receiving quite a few complaints for people that can't walk up and down the sidewalk panels. I would
Oh,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
that's what, especially after it rains.
Yeah.
Even more, yeah.
Yeah, so I would appreciate that, and remind people, you know, that this nuisance ordinance is, you know, unfortunately, you know, we just all need to be aware of, you know, this nuisance ordinance and how that potentially can impact things. I would appreciate that very much.
Anything else, Mark? Think of it. What's your deadline, Mark, on this?
Give or take, probably around the 23rd-ish, give or take a day.
Thank you, sir. Council comments, Bruce?
I just want to say to Mayor Cherie and Evergreen Council, thank you for your cards when I was laid up, and also for the fruit. Never go wrong with fruit, I'll tell you that. So, once again, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Good to have you back.
Good to be back. Jeff?
Thank you, everybody, for coming out, one of our best audiences of the year. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us on the nuisance ordinance and working with me to get this done.
Mark?
Thank you all for coming. It's awesome to see people in the gallery there. Thank you, everybody here for all that you do. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Glad to see everyone here. Halloween's coming up, so be safe with the kids. Great podcast, I'm sorry I wasn't there. I didn't get home until 8 o'clock that night.
Good enough. We had a good time.
And I'm looking forward to Christmas decorations. It's gonna look like it's cool. Thank you.
Sure.
I just want two things as I hold up 3 fingers. So I know Mark received, because he was copied on the email that I received, but the Chamber of Commerce has their annual elected officials reception on Tuesday, October the 21st from 5:30 to 7. And it's for, which is interesting because all of a sudden they put in the plug, it's free for chamber members and elected officials and candidates. So candidates, there's 2 of you here tonight if you wish to attend.
Yeah, I mailed that out to all 4
Okay,
candidates.
so you're good there. Council, they being the chamber is looking for a response. If you want to, you can either send it to me and I'll be glad to send it to them, or I'll be glad to send you their email if you want to RSVP.
I think they emailed it back out to all of us today.
Okay, well.
It said October 7th first was the deadline, but.
Yes, so
Yeah,
I'm
good idea.
harassing
Extend it.
all of you, either send a yes or no. So that's the first thing. And then I just wanted to let y'all know, last month Jeremy mentioned that we found 2 water leaks that we addressed here in, at the community center. One was at the hose bib for Max Garden, and the other one was right here at the backflow for the irrigation system. I applied for, in the name of the village, a refund, because it says if you have a bill from where you had it repaired, you could potentially get a refund. So we will be we currently have a credit from them on our account of $1,551.62. So just wanted to let you know that we are trying to be, I know I spend a lot of money in stormwater, but we are trying to be good stewards. And thank you so much.
Sure.
I got time.
I just think everybody as well, remind everybody to go vote in a few weeks. We got a little small town and everybody loves each other. There's gonna be squabbles, there's gonna be things that people disagree on, and that's just life, and that's the way it is, and really, it makes life go around. If you can have good, healthy debate, there's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate what everybody does. I would ask the community to keep one of our, Park and Rec commissioners, he's also on the ordinance review committee, John Corzine, if you keep him in your thoughts and prayers, he's had some pretty significant surgeries, in the past 2 weeks. I did talk to him yesterday, and he's doing well enough that he's complaining about the nursing staff, so, if you can complain about them, you're ready to go, so hopefully he'll get out of the hospital this week. John he was on the HOA for a while as well. He does a lot of behind the scenes stuff and maintenance and engineering for us that saves us a lot of money. He's done a lot of good, does a lot of good for his community, so please keep John in your thoughts and prayers. And as well as particularly Ann, but Bob and Ann Higley as well. Ann's going through some significant medical challenges, and they're both on up there in age, and certainly that family needs our thoughts and prayers. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Mark's made a motion, Bruce seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.